Point a radio telescope at the night sky and listen. Across 100 billion stars, across worlds older than our own sun, the answer comes back the same. Nothing. Silence. The universe should be loud. It should be crowded with voices. Instead, it is a silent room. And a silent room means one of two things. Nobody is there, or everybody is hiding. This is a cold case with no body and no weapon. The victim is a question. Where is everybody? And the most frightening answer is not that we are alone. The Cosmic Files, File 003, The Dark Forest. In the summer of 1950, at Los Alamos, a physicist named Enrico Fermi walked to lunch with 3 other men. They were laughing about a cartoon of flying saucers. The talk drifted to the stars, to whether anyone was out there. Then Fermi went quiet and did the arithmetic in his head. Here is what he saw in his head. The galaxy is unthinkably old, and we arrived unthinkably late. Then, in the middle of lunch, he asked the question that has haunted us ever since. Where is everybody? By any estimate, the galaxy should have been crossed and settled long before humans ever stood upright. The sky should be full of light and signal. It is empty. This is the Fermi paradox. A decade later, an astronomer named Frank Drake tried to count the voices we should be hearing. He sat in a control room and wrote an equation. The Drake equation. Multiply the stars, the planets, the odds of life, of intelligence, of a signal we could ever catch. Feed it numbers with any optimism at all, and the galaxy should hold thousands of civilizations, thousands of senders. We have been listening for over 60 years. And in all that time, we have heard exactly one thing that made us sit up. In 1977, for 72 seconds, a telescope caught a signal so strong, an astronomer wrote one word beside it. Wow. It never came again. So the silence is real. The only question left is why. This file has 3 suspects. The first suspect is the Great Filter. Some barrier almost nothing survives. Maybe life itself is a freak accident. Maybe intelligence is. Or maybe every civilization, sooner or later, builds the very thing that ends it. If the filter is behind us, then crossing it made us a miracle, alone in an empty galaxy. If it is still ahead of us, it has stopped everyone who ever came before. And we are walking straight toward it. Every silent star out there could be a civilization that already hit the wall. A grave we cannot read. A warning we arrived too late to hear. The second suspect is gentler and stranger, the zoo. Maybe they are out there, far beyond us, and have simply agreed to leave us alone, to watch and never to touch. It is a comforting thought, a galaxy of careful neighbors letting the primitives grow up in private, but it carries a flaw. It only works if every civilization, everywhere, forever, keeps the same silence. All it takes is one that breaks the rule, and the zoo is over. The silence is far too perfect to be good manners. The third suspect is the one that should frighten you. It needs no rare luck and no perfect agreement. It needs only fear. They call it the Dark Forest. Picture the whole universe as a forest at night. Every civilization is a hunter, moving carefully between the trees, holding its breath. You cannot see the others. You can only hear a branch break somewhere in the dark. And you cannot know what broke it, predator or prey, something kind or something terrified of you. You cannot simply ask. A question takes 1,000 years to cross the gap, and 1,000 more to answer. By the time you learn its intentions, it has had 10 centuries to change them and to grow stronger. That is the trap. Anything you find might one day grow powerful enough to end you, and you will never know in time. So the only safe move is the cruel one. Stay silent, and if you ever see another light flare up in the trees, you do not call out to it. You raise your rifle. 2 cold rules drive the whole thing. Survival comes before everything, and everything that lives keeps growing, while the universe stays the same size. In a forest like that, a civilization that announces itself has not made a friend. It has lit a match and shouted its address into the dark. It has told every hunter exactly where to aim. Now look at us. For 100 years we have been the loudest thing in our corner of the sky. Our radio, our radar, our television, leaking outward at the speed of light, an expanding bubble of noise announcing that something here is awake. And once, we did it on purpose. On the 16th of November, 1974, we aimed the most powerful transmitter on Earth at a cluster of 300,000 stars, and we shouted, a picture of who we are and exactly where we live. Some of the people who understood the stars best begged us not to. Do not answer, do not advertise. We are a child standing up in the dark forest, waving a lantern, calling out, is anyone there? The message will take 25,000 years to arrive. If anything answers, the reply takes 25,000 more. We will never know. But the match is already struck, the light is already traveling. Maybe it does not matter. Maybe the forest really is empty, and Fermi was only puzzled because we are simply the first ones awake. Or maybe the silence was never absence. Maybe it was discipline. Maybe everyone else learned the rule a long time ago. The rule we are only now beginning to guess. Be quiet, stay hidden, survive. We listen harder every year. We point bigger dishes at darker corners of the sky. And every year the answer is the same silence, and we cannot tell if it is an empty room or a held breath. The dark forest is not proven. It is one answer among several to a question no one has solved. A story, not a fact. But it is the only one that explains the silence without making us the center of the universe. And it comes with a warning, one we may have already ignored. We have been broadcasting our location into the dark for a century. We have sent a map to our front door. If the forest is what the theory says it is, then the most dangerous thing a young civilization can do is exactly what we have already done. Make noise. The only question left is whether anything out there was close enough, and patient enough and hungry enough to have heard it. We are still listening. The sky is still silent, and we do not know whether that silence is the best news we will ever receive or the last quiet before we find out why everyone else stayed hidden. The dark forest is only a theory, the silence is real, and the file stays open.